"Go ahead," the red-robed lecturer said. The girl extended a hand and summoned a magic circle on the floor. The circle glowed with a twisting purple and red light. A small creature with ugly yellow skin and pointy ears arose from it. Cole recognized it as a warlock's first summoned demon, a low-level damage dealer with high mobility and the ability to throw fireballs. The girl stood proudly over her demon. The lecturer sighed. "Acceptable, but hardly impressive. Go back to your seat." The girl's excitement dampened under the critical response she received. "Anyone else?" the lecturer asked. The calculating people didn't volunteer, preferring not to show their level to those they viewed as competition. But the bestial fellows stood up. Fierce looks were exchanged as the alpha of the group was decided. Finally, an angry guy several heads taller than Cole strode to the front of the room and summoned a savage-looking magic circle. A hellhound that would come up to Cole's shoulders bared its fangs at the acolytes. The giant of a man patted the beast on the head, but the beast did nothing to hide its aggression. The lecturer nodded. "Still conventional, but certainly an impressive demon. Go back to your seats." As the man returned with his beast, the hellhound bared its fangs at the little imp who hid behind its mistress's leg. The young woman frowned at the giant pair, but said nothing. When everyone was settled, the lecturer continued. "The Red Sect finds its power in the demons of fell corruption. Our priests can summon hordes of these monsters. Refrain from feeling proud of your singular summons. Another of our specializations is in blood magic. The heresy of the light considers blood magic a greater evil than even demonology, but they do not understand the soul as we do. They would imprison the soul in the body, whereas we would use the medium of the soul, blood, to write our will into the world." As the lecturer continued, Cole heard many things he'd already known from playing these paths over the years he'd been playing Cosmos. The lecturer continued until the red-robed man made his closing remarks. "Now that you have been instructed on the basics, you are free to explore the temple. I warn you that there are many places here that you are not permitted entry. You only get this warning once. Trespassing where you are not allowed will result in your death. Go." With that, the man left the room. Cole watched as the man with the hellhound got up and exited the room, a violent look on his face as he gazed over his shoulder before continuing. Others left hastily. Cole waited for a minute before also vacating the room. The vanishing figures each went their own way. The temple was a maze of corridors, and Cole had difficulty returning to his accursed tomb, but he felt it best to ground himself before exploring. Even so, Cole felt his stomach tremble. With all the fear and anxious labor, Cole realized he hadn't eaten since he'd arrived in this temple. With an effort to remember his starting point, Cole left the room in search of food. The temple maze turned out to have a simpler layout than Cole had first assumed. The great hall of the Baphomet was at the center, with corridors leading out to a grand stairway that led down into the valley. The valley was covered in rust-red soil that gave the region a red aura as the sun slipped downwards in the sky. On the stairway, many men and women of differing status went about their business. Some moved in groups, but most acted independently. At the stairway's base, vendors set up shops varying from food to armor and weapons. The aroma of roasted meat drew Cole to a man grilling unknown meat over a small fire. The cook's mean eyes glared at Cole. 12 silver per kebab. Cole sighed and turned away. He had to think. Using the standard copper, silver, and gold currency system, They could earn money by performing quests. In Cosmos, quests were something other than what advertised themselves. Most of the time you had to investigate, but a primary quest giver would be easy to identify in a starting zone like this. After scanning the crowd, he saw a woman in a red robe, like the instructors. "Greetings, priestess," Cole said with feigned piety. The woman looked him over. "Acolyte," she said, "do you seek a task?" Cole nodded. "I do, priestess." She let out a breath. "The light is dying, as will you if you venture too far into the valley before nightfall." She looked into the valley. "The valley is plagued with gophers. They're mere pests, but it would serve the temple to have their numbers culled. For every 10 you slay, you will be rewarded." Cole blinked a few times. This first task didn't fit the image of such a scary faction. Shrugging, Cole moved out into the valley. The best weapon he could manage was a sharp stone he found close to the stairway's base. Other members of the Red Sect came and went while Cole snuck up on a communal gopher territory. The critters popped out of their burrows from time to time. After watching their movements for a while, Cole decided to act. He rushed a burrow as a gopher jumped up. The effort was wasted as the gopher dived into its hole and was gone. Cole's eyes watched the creatures looking at him from the safety of their holes. He was tempted to throw his rock at the gophers, but knew it would be in vain. Truth was, Cole's stats were too imbalanced to be physically capable. His strength and agility stats were both at the base 1, but Cole already had a plan. He walked to one end of the gopher burrow and began engraving a series of symbols into the ground. Moving around the field, Cole carved the sigil of fire into various places. When the final piece of his array was finished, Cole activated it and set the field on fire, both above and below. A quest counter ticked the number of gophers that died at 53. Cole looked over his work. Recovering the corpses would be impossible, but the only thing he needed was for the quest to recognize his kills. Wiping the sweat from his face, Cole returned to the Red Priestess. The woman cocked her head to the side as she looked at Cole. "I did not expect you to succeed so quickly or proficiently. You have my gratitude. Take your reward." Silver and copper coins appeared in Cole's ethereal wallet. He could easily see the money listed in his HUD. Along with the money came a significant amount of XP that he used to upgrade the steady hand skill to the 3rd level. Cole finished using the menu and moved over to the unfriendly cook. He exchanged the silver for a few kebabs. In addition to the food, Cole found his way to the temple's well and bought a canteen from a vendor before filling the container. With relief, Cole watched the sun fall beyond the horizon. For the first time since this whole ordeal began, he thought he might be able to survive. The next few days saw Cole continuing his engraving of sigils into his cell. While he undoubtedly would not be strong enough to face the woman in the red dress, he felt confident that as long as he was in the cell, he could meet most of the acolytes and guards level. He isn't interested in testing his strength against any of them. All Cole wanted to do was escape the Red Sect, but the valley went off seemingly forever. The temple was built into a mountain chain that Cole couldn't challenge. Thus, until a better solution arose, Cole continued training and hunting to live. "What do you mean you don't have a quest, stupid NPC?"